Hello then, everyone. It's back. We are back, for WOR Tier 4. And today it is Imola, one of my personal favourite tracks in the European segment. And, it's going to be a blast. Especially with how Silverstone went. I'm hoping we have that same sort of competitiveness coming into this race. And maybe someone could dethrone Scott Holmes. I'm going to run through the order because I can't remember if Scott is racing today. I believe he is. I just don't see him in the lobby right now. So I am overthinking it. But I believe he is racing today. I will be joined by Hyperactive later on. He's just running a little bit late. So I have the honour to start the stream. Now, if you did miss last weekend out, it was a very spicy race. There was a lot of little bit of everyone was on the same strategy, starting on the tires and when going to the hards, but it was when people boxed. We saw a lot of people box around lap 7, around 8. And it was too early. You know, you had Lewis Welch who had to re-box because he was entering that sort of puncture zone. He got onto the softs and he recovered to a P10. But what could have been a P4, it ended up being a P10. He did get fastest lap though in the end, which is really, really nice. And Scott is racing today because he has just joined the lobby. Now, Scott is on a 3-win streak. In the past 4 races, he's won 3 of them. Someone needs to dethrone him. He probably would have won Baku as well if he didn't get a game glitch that disconnected him and DNF'd him. So we can't say that, you know, you can't really say he would have won. There's a possibility he would have because he was really, really far in the lead before the safety car came out. It was just F1 being F1, really. And I hope we don't have anything like that again. We have 32 laps of Imola, though. I find the more laps you do, the longer the race feels. So, you know, despite Spa being a 22-lap race, it actually feels shorter than a track like Imola or Austria because of the amount of laps you got to do. I'm very excited for this one, though, because now I struggle driving this track, but I love commentating it because sometimes these guys just find a way to make the moves stick. Find the way to get through the cars. I mean, we saw it back in Monaco. So racing around here is actually possible with these tier 4 guys. And we do have a stacked grid. So let's talk about them for a minute. Now, in the lovely, lovely McLarens, we have, it's your 2 favourite people. It's Ryan Jacobs and Wilson Hall. They are back at it. Could one of them score yet another podium? I hope so, because I'm very excited for that. You know, I'm a Papaya McLaren fan in real life myself, so when it comes to the sim, I also like them. And those two aren't disappointing. They're currently P4 and P5 in the standings. We will get onto the standings, but I want to sort of talk about that during the race, you know, because one thing I do is I blur all the information out at the start of the race, and then when there's dry periods in the race, I have nothing to talk about. So, Ryan Jacobs and Wilson Hall in the McLaren. That's going to be it's a beautiful lineup. They're just a really good combo. I like how they're driving. They're doing amazing, right? And they work fabulous as a team. In the Ferrari, you have Kevin and Jack Humphreys. I almost said Jake there, but no, Jack Humphreys. I believe he's reserving for today. Yeah, he is a reserve. But Kevin's actually been on a quite good race streak of recent times. I mean, let's just look at the standings as of now. He scored a P4 in Baku, and then he scored P7 in Silverstone, which isn't bad. He's had a really good run in the top 10s. He's only had 1 race, currently outside of the top 10. So Kevin is really, really consistent, and he's in for the fight of maybe sneaking into that top 5 area. So it is very spicy in the standings now. In the Red Bull, you have Michael Heidrich and Herman Polakov. They're both doing quite well. They've had their ups and downs throughout this season, but I'm hoping they can have a really, really good race coming into this one. In the Mercedes, you have Alex King and Ryan. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I know I'm going to get it wrong, but you're going to know who he is. He's been racing. He's basically a main driver in my eyes. Despite him having the reserve driver role, he is basically a main driver. He's done so many races. He's performed fantastically. And I kind of can't wait to see what he does in Imola. I mean, qualifying is going to be very tight, I believe. That's my prediction. We can ask Kuiper what his prediction is. when he gets it. In the Aston Martin, you have Alessandro and Red Mears. Red Mears, I think he's there. You know, Red Mears, he's gone under my radar a little bit. He did get a podium in Monaco. And he did get a bit unlucky during Silverstone. So I'm hoping he can bounce back in today's race. Remember, after today, we only have 2 more rounds. So we are really, really on the final stretch of the season. So points are going to really matter. Drivers are going to have to really lock in. It's really, really close between 10th and 5th. And it's a 3-way, maybe even a 4-way fight. It's anyone's game to win the championship. With the amount of points that are on offer in these final 3 rounds, it's still anyone's game in both drivers and constructors. Now, in the Alpine, you have Lewis watching Luis. In the Haas, you have Jake Finch and Franzique Journy. I've probably said that wrong. I'm sorry if I did. In the Racing Bulls, you have Christophe Goddard and Sinan, and Williams, you have the mighty TRT duo of Jan Luca and Amos. They are absolutely killing it in just this season. And in the Kick Sauber, you have Scott Holmes and George Ansell. And finally, now that is everyone. I thought there was another team, unless I missed one. No, I didn't. I'm just tripping. That is what I'm doing, guys. But before we get on into the qualifying session, I want to ask, how are you guys doing? I'm not doing too bad, by the way. Scott has done, I've been told Scott's done 3 laps. This is going to be interesting then, isn't it? Oh, this is going to be a very, very interesting race. And let's, no one's out yet, so let's look at the track map here. Imola is a 3-mile-long track with 19 technical turns, especially in that Sector 2 area where you've got Acqua Minerale. You've got turns 9. You've also got the Villeneuve chicane that is really, really to invalidate on the exit. One long DRS straight down the main straight into turns 1, meaning overtaking should be quite easy in the way of, I mean, sometimes it can be, sometimes it can't. And then you've obviously got the 2 Ravazzas there. The final 2 corners of turns 18s and 19, very, very easy to go a little bit deep, cut a little bit too much. So invalidations and penalties will probably be a common recurrence in today's race. But that's the qualifying session. As we do have drivers out on track, I'm very excited for this one. Okay, so Nico Rasenberg is driving instead of Herman Polakov. Love that. Maybe I read something wrong. I don't know. We will quickly get that on for us now. Who is the first person out on track? It is Nico Rasenberg, which is very, very lovely. I was eyeballing it because I didn't have track map up yet. If it is true that he's only done 1 lap or 3 laps, that's not ideal. Maybe he just doesn't need to do the practice because he's that quick. But like I've said in every single broadcast you guys have watched, and if you haven't watched past broadcasts, where have you bloody been? You've been missing out on the Tier 4 action here. I would say Tier 4 is where it's at. I would say it's more action-packed than Tier 2 and Tier 3 combined. That's probably just me because it's my tier that I commentate. But also, sometimes when I'm tuning into the streams of the other tiers, it's been kind of dead. But anyway, let's ride on board with Nico Rasenberg. He makes his way down the long main straight through turns 1 as of this. It's a really weird kink corner. It's basically not a corner, but people do call it turn 1. Down into the turn 1, down to 4th gear, cutting as much as the turn 2 and 3 curb as humanly possible. Same with turn 4 curb. Now, Villeneuve chicane, very tricky. You got to make sure you don't take too much speed through the second portion of it because of how actually small that exit curb is. I find I can invalidate very, very easily through the hairpin of turn 7. Really nicely done on the exit as well. How boys are you feeling to try and take as much speed through turns 8 as possible? Now Acqua Minerale, the most easiest flat corner into a little bit of a braking down 3 or 4 gears, and then you're back full throttle on your way to the tricky tight hairpin. You've got to cut as much as you possibly can because if you don't cut enough or if you cut too much, you're invalidating or you're leaving tenths on the table. And in this sort of tier, those tenths are going to matter. Now, down towards Ratzer 1, got to try and take as much of the inside cover through the Ratzer 2. Now down towards the main straight. What will the lap time be from Nico Rasenberg? It's a 13.509. Really nicely done. And then you've got Scott Holmes in behind. 14. 029. Who is up next? And I believe it is Michael Heidrich. Yes, it
I'll tell you
is.
what,
But I don't
Scott
know.
Holmes has definitely not come and put his A game on the first lap. Last week we saw him absolute dominant performance. This time, that first lap doesn't feel anywhere near the same pace we've seen before.
No, absolutely not. I do agree. Like, normally I would see him top the tables, and now he's 5 tenths back, or, you know, 4 and 8. But, you know, he's round about 5 tenths off. And there you go, Jan Luca there, not far behind Nico Rasenberg. So, Scott Holmes, maybe he should have practiced a little bit more.
This could be numerous different things. It could be a little problem that the drivers are having. As we can see, the spread is quite big at the moment. We're talking nearly over a second already from first and fifth, and drivers are still putting in their lap times. So I'm not stressed. I'm not worried. There's, of course, still 3 more attempts to go as Amos is absolutely flinging that car around. It's good enough for third, but I feel neating up that final sector for Amos, there might be a shot for him as well for pole.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Sinan Jr. going up to P4, 13.8. Not far behind Amos there. You can also see Amos really wobbly through the 2 Ravatsas as Ryan Jacobs up towards the top step. As of now, it's times are sort of closing in now, and a little bit of an improvement, especially between 7th and 5th, or 7th and 4th here, could be many positions gained, especially for Sinan.
I'm curious on George Ansel and what he can do. He's just started his lap, and being teammate with somebody quite high up is always it's always a hard thing to deal with. It's always a pressure that you have to live up to, especially when it's a close friend as well. As already you can see the amount of curb cutting that is coming from Ansel is humongous. And a purple first, whether that is true or not, we always pose that question mark. But up the hill, and then a quick flick to the right, and then swing it to a left. So easy to put that car wide and invalidate. And the worst corner of them all, I will say it today, that horrible, just twisty turn 11 to 12. It's difficult because you have to turn while under braking, but the rear end of Ansel just unsettled. And I feel this is a common theme with a lot of these drivers. But Ansel's lap right now, looking strong.
Absolutely. Coming through the fire, and he's invalidated. Oh, we called it too early. Oh, typical commentator's curse. Also, by the way, can we talk about the 2 papayas here? P1 and P3 provisionally, and not far from each other. So, McLaren looking quite strong here, and you've also got Scott Holmes down towards P9. He's really got to, well, I mean, he's out on track as of now. He's definitely got to get a mighty lap in, as he's around about 6 tenths off. Exactly 6 tenths off Ryan Jacobs up on that pole position.
As I said, I feel this was just a sketchy lap that Scott Holmes started off with. It is a technical track. It's not one that we're going to see a lot of overtaking come the race. But when it comes to qualifying, it really pushes you to the bitter sweet end. The curbs just want to force you wide. And then at the same time, you've got to have a mix of straight line speed, but also a good amount of downforce to keep you planted.
Oh. What has happened there then? My Discord. Hyperactive? I don't know if it's my end or Hyper's end. And I don't know what's happened. The Discord is cut for Hyper. Oh my. That is not ideal, guys. But anyway, I don't know what's happened.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. E is back. Lovely jubbly. And now it's quiet again. Well, let's talk about the qualifying while we have some technical difficulties, shall we? Scott with a provisional purple sector 2 there. Not too shabby from the kick Sauber as he makes his way down towards the final set of corners. Now, you got to try and be as ballsy as possible without invalidating really on the white lane there. On the limit through the final Ravatsa as well. down towards the line. Where will Scott go? It's only going to be good enough for P5. Oh my.
It's an improvement.
It's an
It's an
improvement indeed.
improvement, and that's what Scott Holmes needs to see is himself slowly creeping up this board. And if he can jump a good, I think it was 2/10 on this lap. If he could do another 2/10, then he's right in the region of being on that front row. So things are piecing together. Still, we look at at Scott Holmes. We look at that pressure we're almost putting on him as viewers, as commentators. Yeah, I'm not surprised that he's not performing to the A game right now.
And, yeah, I mean, to be really honest, sometimes it's a little bit boring winning as well. And maybe he's just trying to have a nice, relaxed race. I mean, let's be real, right? He won 3 races almost in a row if he didn't disconnect in Baku, right? After his DNF in Baku, he was like, you know what? I'm going to win Silverstone. Now he's in. He's only 3 points behind in the standings for the championship win. I mean, I think he deserves a break. You know, he's flying through the season. He's probably the most dominant driver. And, you know, sometimes a break is needed. A nice little, just cheeky race, you know. Try and just keep up and then you bum sweat the final 2 rounds of the left in this season.
I would love to agree, but it's just not like that. It will never be like that. It's always pressure to the bittersweet end to win every single race, and that's all these guys are thinking is how do we win this and claim victory on every single track. And that's why you've got rivals like Ryan Jacobs who will push Scott Holmes to that edge and make sure that Scott doesn't get too much of an ego. Talking of egos, Gianluca, he's been doing all right for Williams. He's currently the lead Williams in the pack. Comes across the line. Is it going to be good enough for the front row? Yes, it is. How about second place by 0.002 of a second? A small error has lost him the chance of pole.
Oh, yeah, but he'll find that time. You know, there's still another run and as we advance through this qualifying session, the track's gonna get more grippier. There's gonna be maybe a 10th or 2 still left on the table. I think we've seen how quick Gianluca is as a solid driver. I think he'll be able to try and snag this pole away from Ryan Jacobs.
Quite easily, very easily. Gianluca has the potential to do it. I'm trying to remember. You're the stat guy of the two of us, but I don't recall Gianluca being on pole yet.
To be really honest, I don't know because they don't share the qualifying standings. It's only after the race. So Wilson Hall there massively improving as well, almost a full 10th. We've got the top 5 all within a 10th of each other. I did say this qualifying was going to be spicy, and oh my, it is. But yeah, I think Gianluca has 1 or 2 poles to his name. I may be mistaken. I mean, his worst, he has actually qualified outside the top 10 though. He did that back in Austin. I think he qualified around P12, P13, and he recovered to a P5. So he's really, really good in the race. And I mean, Ryan Jacobs, oh my man. We were just talking about the improvement, and there it is, Ryan Jacobs with a massive improvement of a 1.5 tenths. Insane.
Why not? Just leave it out on the track and just a little mic drop to add insult to injury. 13-2, and it begs the questions, are we going to see Tier 4 drop down into the into the 112s? That is a question. Can Ryan Jacobs push themselves? Can Gianluca find that extra 10th or 2 to go down to those margins? There is a lot of questions that could push ourselves here and see drivers go into the 112s. I want it to happen. Unlike Red Miz, didn't want that to happen. And we're seeing a lot of drivers overextending the exit of turn 18.
It's very easy to do, though. I mean, when you're in a qualifying session, you've really got to try and push the limits, and the final Ravazza is where you can really, really push. I mean, that curb, there's no sausage curbs anymore. You can attack it as much as you like, and you're not going to get any repercussions, and that's sort of like, sometimes you want repercussions because then you know you're not overdoing it, and we just saw there Redmir's completely overdoing it and massively going wide, almost going into the gravel. And I mean, it's just how quick these drivers are trying to push the cars as Christoph Goddard invalidating his lap. Oh my.
Yeah, a few of the back runners. Oh, there's nothing against the rules of doing that.
No.
I
No,
have
there
done
is
that
not, but
so many times. I remember Mexico. I just completely decided, you know what, chicanes, what are those? I think it was a minute. Oh, it's a minute 40 left on the clock. I went out. I was cheekily doing a fourth run. I had a minute 40 on the clock, and I just cut every single corner. Got to the stadium section, cut the corner as much as I could, and then was able to put in my final lap. So it very much is a strategy we do see drivers when they're pressed for time is, just take track limits, hope for the best. As long as you don't impede anyone else, no one bats an eyelid for it.
yeah, absolutely. Also, I like what Redmir's is doing here. He's coming out with still 3 minutes 30. So if he doesn't validate on this fast lap, I mean, he can jump into the pits, maybe swap his tires, or he may have fueled for 2 laps. So he's given himself enough time because he's realized I'm invalidating a lot here. I really, really need to put in a good solid lap. So I'm going to give myself enough time to do so. If he invalidates, he may go safer on his second run. So I like what Redmir's is doing. It's really smart. And I think I've got high hopes that he qualifies within this top 7.
I would go the opposite. If I was in Redmir's zone, you're fueled up for 2 laps. I wouldn't turn on your ERS to its full. I would put in a banker lap. Put one on the board. See where you position yourself. Have come the end, so essentially, like, for the first part of the lap, use your ERS. Come the last part, put it into regen mode, and then push. See what you could do on the final lap, because you would have one on the board, you're not dead last, and then you can go all out for one last shot as the track's at its best position. But again, what do I know? What do I know as a driver?
But really, really aggressive over the turn 2 and 3 curb there. It's going to be a common theme through Imola, as also through the Villeneuve chicane. Really, really ballsy over that turn 6 curb. I mean, Redmir's is pushing the car to its utmost limit as he makes his way up the hill through towards turns 8 and 9. And, I mean, a little bit of bottoming down there over the bump. This car sort of jump now through Aqua Minerale. Really nicely done. He is pushing that Aston to its just limits. I'm going to mention it again, as you see purple middle sector there. Redmir's is on an absolute flyer of a lap. Only 3 turns separate him and maybe a provisional pole, and his first provisional pole of this entire season through Vatsa 1. Really nicely done. Vatsa 2, don't invalidate now, Redmir's. He's not invalidated. Now towards the line. Where will he see himself on the timing tower? It's P4. Nicely done, Redmir's. Lovely jubbly.
He can put in another push lap. As long as he charges throughout the lap, there's just enough time that he could go for another run. He's timed it perfectly. This is brilliant if you're Red Miz. You could go for a second time. Depends on the tires, because you're pushing throughout a second lap as well. But there is hope and possibility. Meanwhile, Cian going to invalidate, and that's going to be ruining his start of his run. But thankfully, we'll have another opportunity. We go to Ryan Jacobs, and again, aggression is all we can talk about as they hurl their cars through the chicanes, cutting as much as they can and pushing all the boundaries that come from it. It's a purple first, and he's already improving on what is already a sterling lap. Nearly a 10th faster on that first sector. But when it comes to this long left, to then this technical double braking right, you have to keep it between the lines. And Ryan Jacobs demonstrates that lines are all for him as Gianluca goes a 10th faster than Ryan Jacobs' previous lap. And Ryan Jacobs has invalidated.
Oh, no. That is not good. I would say, looking at the gaps here, Ryan Jacobs could be safe for a top 3, but also Wilson Hall was really slow there in Sector 2. Is he going to be able to go for another lap? No, he won't. So, both Papaya McLarens out in qualifying now. They won't be able to get another lap in. They won't be able to improve their times. They're at a risk of not being on the first and second row. That is really just not ideal for the Papaya McLarens there.
Nico Rasberg is not improving on his lap time. He's struggling to gain any little advantage. I don't know if it was himself or his teammate Michael Heydrich. There was one car at the end of the chicane turned the opposite direction, but can Nico put any improvement? No. It's a worse lap time. Amos left. Well, I say Amos. George Ansel, what can he do? P9. Not bad for the Salbers.
Just right behind his teammate. Now, Ryan has also got an invalidation, so that is qualifying over. And it sort of took a dark turn as a lot of drivers massively invalidating towards the end there. Ryan Jacobs being the one that it costed him a lot. I mean, he was purple in the first sector. He had a little bit of a wobble in the second, making him lose about 3/4 of the time he gained. And then you go through the tight chicane and it's all over. His chances at his first, or I think his first pole position this season is over. And Gianluca on that front row and on the top step, and it's not a provisional, it's a guaranteed pole for Gianluca. And I mean, just fair play to him. He set a cracking lap, and I mean, maybe if Ryan Jacobs improved there, we could have seen what you predicted of a 12.9 potentially.
Could have been. It could have been indeed, but hats off to Gianluca. We questioned how many poles he's got. Well, he's definitely confirmed a pole today. Williams back on top. But for the championship contender, Scott Holmes, it's not a position he wants to start himself in. It's definitely not a comfortable, happy medium for himself. There's a lot of improvement he could do, but as a start of any race, there can be chaos. And you think about how narrow this track is. There is so many rooms for error, so many rooms for mistake. Take George Russell while he tried to overtake Bottas from Mercedes and Williams. There wasn't room and touched a little bit of the wet patch, touched the grass, and went into each other so easily.
Yeah, also, I just want to talk about Gianluca can massively gain on Scott in today's race with the positions that they're in. Scott almost outside the top 10. This is probably one of the first, I think this is the lowest we've seen him in a qualifying session. And also, he's 5 points behind in the drivers. So Gianluca can gain not only in the constructors, but in the drivers as well. Amos in a great position. Kick Sauber. I mean, there is a chance they could still do it in the constructors. They are only 56 points behind, with McLaren only 67. So I would say it's still possible for Kick and McLaren to have a chance at the constructors, but they're going to really need to lock in on these final 3 races and really outdo Williams. And McLaren looking really, really good coming in today's race. P2, P3 provisionally, really good qualifying. What can they do in the race though? As sometimes being close to your teammate is actually bad, especially if we maybe get an early safety car or a midway through safety car. They're going to double stack, and then their race is going to be a little bit shambles, like what we saw in Barcelona, where there was a safety car, they double stacked, and they were separate. Chances out of 2-3 were all gone because of a safety car. So could we see that again? Maybe, and that's the scary factor.
There's a lot of question marks to how that dangerous position can be, being so close to your teammate. One person has to go for the overcut, one person has to do the undercut. It's not ideal, but again, with good coordination amongst your fellow temporary a teammate, shall we say? Because again, you have to remember, WOR, it's all about yourself. It is all about your performance, not the team's performance. But you still have to coordinate. And again, even in this lower tiers, it's something we should be seeing.
Yeah. Also, one thing I want to talk about, strategy in today's race. It could be anything. Obviously, more favorable strategy is going to probably be hards to mediums or mediums to hards, but we may also see some double stops. It really depends if there's a safety car, when that safety car is, if there is one, but also how aggressive these guys will start driving each other. You know, are we going to see many fighting? Are we going to see loads of overtakes? If so, tire take is going to be a lot higher. We may see double stops. I mean, this is one thing I love about Imola is the amount of diverse strategies there are. There's so much that these drivers have to think about, their engineers have to think about. It's the joy of F1 sim racing.
There is a lot of strategy. I'm going to disagree with one section of your entire thing. All of it was great, except when you said, "Could there be overtaking?" Answer to that: probably not. But I tell you what, there is. 5 lights on the screen. They paused, and we're racing. Well, again to the jump start for the Haas. That's a jump start, a drive-through penalty. Michael Hendrick is not going to like that at all. But up the front, Gianluca able to hold the lead and will take the inside line. Will the McLaren stick to the inside? It's dangerous, it's bold. The bit front wing goes off, a bumping and barging between the Williams and the McLaren. And they still end up side by side, but one has to concede. Ryan Jacobs is able to jump the Williams off the start and a nail biter through the first 2 turns.
Absolutely sensational from Ryan Jacobs. He knew he needed that sort of grid position, that
Michael
track
Hendrick
position.
disqualified.
Yeah, I mean, he was parked. I think he parked on the main straight, which is not where you want to be. And already, the pack almost got dropped there. Top 4 almost made a runner, but Amos kept calm and composed. He kept his head down, and he's made sure to not let that gap exceed anymore. Ryan Jacobs, though, did what Max Verstappen did. Round the outside, has the inside line for turn 2. He's got the back traction for turn 3, and an amazing start from the race from Ryan Jacobs. Also, Wilson Hall here, not far behind. Will we see maybe him try and go for a pounce move into turn 1 like his teammate did at the start of this very lap?
Just a reminder for everybody who's new to Formula 1, no DRS until the start of the second lap. So the DRS detection was before it. No use of boost, shall we say, as they have to remain single file through the chicane and through into the rest of the track. But meanwhile, we're looking at a really close Williams of Lorenz as he is trying to push Scott Holmes around. We will start to see the odd 1 or 2 drivers step away as Lorenz. Was that him going wide? How did George Ansell get through?
He went for an absolutely dirty send into turn 7. I was surprised he got it slowed down. Absolutely sensational. Kick Sauber. They are not messing around. Both of them up 2 positions and looking mighty quick as of now.
They're driving like their Kick Sauber representative, Thomas Ronha. You know when you see Ronha on a server, there's going to be some argy-bargy and sending. And that's the exact spirit that's been transferred over. And minus the argy-bargy, but the sending has been transferred. We look ahead, back to the front. Ryan Jacobs is actually pulling a little comfortable gap. And you're probably wondering, Hypo, hold up. 7/10 is not a comfortable gap. I promise you in SimWorld, that is considered comfortable because it means that the threat and the opportunity to be overtaken on that start-finish straight isn't going to happen. Meanwhile, Wilson Hill, being 2/10 behind Gianluca, well, he has to pick his moment, and when he wants to lunge, he will send it.
Yeah, also Nico Rasenberg really on the back end here of Wilson Hall. I think he's going to try iron move here. He's really close. He can do it. I think we may see one into the Ravazza, maybe into turn 1. It really all depends of how good of an exit he can get out of the really heavy braking zones of the tight chicane and obviously the exit of Ravazza too. But back towards the front end, Ryan Jacobs, like you said, really showing formidable pace at the early stage of this race. Let's look at the tyres. Everyone on those medium compound tyres, apart from Lorenz, who's actually boxed for the hard compound tyre. I think he may have got some damage. Don't know.
I did spot an end plate fly at the start of this race, so maybe that was a Mercedes end plate going flying and would explain why George Ansell got such an easy lunge into the turn 5 and get that overtake. So there's a lot of questions that could be answered here. But if you're Lorenz, you could start to try and see if you can create a new strategy here. It's a long shot, but maybe the potential to do the one stop from here, go all the way to the end on a one set of tire. Am I talking out my arse here? I feel I am, but you can dream on that attempt.
I think best case scenario for Lorenz here is lap 17, safety car. He comes back in, he goes for the medium compound tire, and he goes to the end. And I believe that's his best case scenario. I think from here, he has to box again. These hards will not go towards the end by any means. Imola, known for its high deg. I mean, depending on how well he can drive the car, it's just a high risk if he does go try and do the one stop. We'll probably see him box again.
Yeah, and then also then it comes all well and good boxing, all about that, but it's all about this overtaking side, and I've expressed it quite clear. This isn't a track that is capable of overtaking, but that's an error from Scott Holmes that seems very mild, but it might be enough. That being said, he's getting some good torpedo launching. He's getting closer. Looks to the inside. No, not just yet. And it wasn't a breaking of toe either. He nearly committed into the lunge.
I wonder what would have happened if he didn't have that wobble out of the Ravazza. I mean, Scott is looking absolutely mighty quick. I think he's running quite low wings here. I mean, going down that main straight, he was catching and catching despite having a bad exit. So that main straight is going to be everyone's kryptonite against Scott here, as he's looking like the fastest man going down the main straight.
Someone get the radar gun for me. Start pointing. Coach, we need the gun. Where is it? That's exactly what we need. We need to know exactly what is the pace and the straight line speed that Scott Holmes is pulling, because this isn't the first time we've seen Scott be so close when it comes to into the first corner. Well, technically second corner, because they are counting a very, very fine minor turn on the banana straight. But I'd be curious. But talking of curiosity, how about Nico Rasenberg? 3/10? 2/10? Maybe goes to the inside, looks for the cap, but again has to back away. It's just no commitment just yet from Rasberg and from any of these drivers. A lot of the time it is to cool down the engine, but it just feels like they're eyeing up and trying to see if the other driver will defend.
Yeah, I think the idea is sort of throw that decoy in there. If they go deep, that's when you pounce. That's when you go for the move. But I mean, I like what these guys are doing. They're just throwing these dummies left, right, and center, trying to get the driver in front a little bit shaken up, and then maybe pounce in the next set of corners, you know. But Nico Rasenberg, mighty quick. He's got Amos. He's had a little bit of a wobble in Sector 2. He's lost almost a second to Buxano in front, and this has really allowed Amos to really get onto the back end of the driver in front, as Matthew Roberts has retired on the exit of turn 7. Will there be a safety car? I don't think so. Not a safety car, I don't think.
No, it looks to be good. We're going to be continuing the racing, so no changes to how we plan our strategy. We're going to start to see a few of these drivers. You can just see in the background, Scott Holmes not necessarily being directly in the slipstream. A lot of that down to engine cooling, tire cooling as well. So not as lungy as we saw at the start of this race. So we're going into management phase. A lot of these drivers deciding, right, we had our opportunity. If one massive one comes to us, of course, we've got to take advantage. But the reality now is take it calm, wait for the right moment. If it comes, we take.
Yeah. And one thing is Wilson almost getting knocked out of the DRS. We saw it rise above that 1 second threshold, but luckily he's been able to keep his head down and he's locked in. And also, the break in the train between P8 and P9 are not ideal. Kevin, though, he's pushing that Scuderia. He's trying to find the time. He's trying to cut that gap down, and I think he's managed to do it just about as he... I don't think so.
No, he's not going to get it.
Unlucky there from Kevin.
Yeah, he even took a warning, a track limits warning, to try and stay close. And that's another thing we have to talk about here is track limits. We saw during qualifying as Wilson Hill, I have to quickly point that out. A second gap has formed between himself and Gianluca. So that is something to manage. But back to my point about track limits. We're going to have to start counting and tallying the number of track limits that do come through, because penalties, as just in the mix of conversation, Resmis does exactly as I'm talking about, is going to play factor here. It's so easy to get one. I'm not going to be surprised if this race is determined by a 3-second time penalty.
I mean, it's sort of the same about, like, what we saw in Kota. We saw the drivers struggling with keeping their car within the white lines, and we saw a lot of penalties get handed out. So it's just because of how high speed Imola is. You know, you've got the first set of chicane. You've got turn 3, 4 of the can't remember what that area's. Tamburello, that's what it's called. And then you've got Villeneuve, which I mentioned in qualifying. It's very high speed. We've seen these drivers really be aggressive with their cutting, and yes, it's good for gaining time, but it's also really, really risky. And we've seen some drivers take a more cautious line through that section as down the main straight, DRS flap is open. Could we see Gianluca maybe look for a move into turn 1? Will he be able to find the time? No, he's just too far back, unfortunately. Oh, Hyper? Oh, don't tell me Discord's died yet again. Of course, there's got to be one technical problem in the stream. You love to see it, but Wilson Hall, he's really just fiddling in and out of this DRS threshold. He's gotten Nico Rasenberg in behind, sort of pushing him along and be like, come on, man, get us back into that DRS. We've got a chance to win here. And that's what Wilson was actually being able to manage to do through Aquaman O'Reilly. You can see how much he's pushing the car as he's almost gone over the white line there. But a beautiful line taken. And Nico Rasenberg, he's found a screen freeze. And it's set him back not 1, not 2, but 3 positions from P4 down to P7. That's never right. He's down to P8. Oh, it's gone from bad to worse for the Red Bull driver. Never an ideal day when you get a screen freeze in the F1 EA open lobbies.
No, not what you want to see. You're kicking yourself. You're screaming at technology. Technology. Why? And it's just got worse, because Kevin West has now just got past Rasenberg as well. Rasenberg is dropping it. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to call it for today.
Yeah. He's just dropping like a fly. Or maybe he's actually boxing. As, he's going to the hard, so...
Maybe it wasn't a glitch.
Maybe he had a wobble, a little spin, and it's made his tires go like really over a threshold or something. As he's actually going to be joining Jack Humphreys and Lorenzo Patton and Christoph Goddard here in this little 4-man pack in behind. Obviously, Jack Humphreys far, far behind, but back up towards the front end, you've got Gianluca and Ryan Jacobs in their own 2-man pack. And Amos, 2 seconds behind Wilson Hall, which is not ideal. So, if Wilson Hall can cut that gap down and try and get within the DRS detection zone here, he's not done it. He's not going to get DRS. This may be quite bad for Wilson Hall.
It's not convenient, shall we say?
Yes.
I think that's the best word. Is not convenient, but he's still within a relatively close distance. If he just sticks to the DRS slipstream, he could theoretically take a little bit of drag off it. As, oh my god, how close can Gianluca get into the braking zone without forcing that McLaren off the road? The answer, mere millimeters, and that was a 4.5 second gap at the start of the straight. So, if we do a little bit of maths here, take half a second away, bring it to 4 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised if Gianluca actually considers to go for the lunge.
Also, a lot of people starting to enter the pit lane there. Now, are we going to see what we saw back in Silverstone of boxing too early? I mean, it really got to some people such as Lewis Welch. Obviously, he's not here today, but he was a driver that got massively affected by boxing too early, as Nico Rasenberg has retired from the race. But back to what I was saying of, try not to box too early, guys, because it will be the downfall of your race. As you don't want to box on the final 3 laps and go to the softs.
Well, you look at what Scott Holmes did in that Silverstone race. He went long, gave himself a bit of delta, and then just was able to overtake. But the real question is, and it goes back to what we've talked about time and time again, is this the track that you can overtake on? Because right now, Gianluca, he gets himself within that 0.4 of a second mark, but the pure straight line speed that Ryan Jacobs has on his car is enough to keep Gianluca at bay.
Yeah. And I think it's just sort of the wing levels here as we see Gianluca really gaining in the Sector 2 where most of the corners are, mainly the high-speed ones, you know, end of Sector 1, midway through Sector 2, and then Sector 3, we see Ryan Jacobs just storm away. So I think it's sort of the wing differential between the two. It's sort of night and day, you could say.
I would agree with that. It very much is a little setup difference that has determined the outcome of this race. But talking of outcomes of this race, the ones who have pitted, Amos has been lucky enough to stay ahead of Christoph. And Christoph opting to go mediums. I'm pretty sure Christoph started this race on mediums, so that it's a 2-stop strategy. If so, as in goes Gianluca, he's done. He doesn't want to do this battle anymore, and Wilson Hill will follow in.
Yeah, same with George Ansell as well. Also, Scott Holmes, he's not gone as long as I thought he would have, as he is quite known for going a little bit longer on the pit stops and getting that quite good tyre offset. And talking about Scott, actually, if he does not score a podium in today's race, it will be his first time off the podium in any race he's completed. That's a good fact for you guys. Scott
that's a fun fact.
has been on the podium every single time he's raced, apart from Baku, but that was not his fault. It was a game glitch.
Well, then the fact isn't he has been on there every single race.
But it was a game
I'm
glitch.
sorry.
It was out of his power. I'm still going to give it to him because it's not like he was like, you know what, sod this. I don't want to race Baku anymore. It was literally a game glitch. It kicked him out and the game retired him. So,
well, I tell you what isn't going to be a retirement right now is Ryan Jacobs' push, as he is knowing that he has to create a small offset. Amos, 2-lap different in terms of tires because he's going 2-lap different on these tires. Hold up, I swear he just pitted last lap, and guess what? In comes the race leader, and now we look to the person in third. And guess who's also joining Ryan Jacobs in the similar strategy? It's Kevin Wust. That's not an unusual name to go long and try and create offset. But Amos slowly pushes up. He needs to probably get out of the way. Actually, no. He doesn't have to get out the way of Gianluca, but Gianluca probably is screaming to get out the way as they start going down the start-finish straight. Is there an exit for the McLaren? Is he going to get in front? They're going to be ahead, and massive disadvantage for Ryan Jacobs for going longer. However, is there hope for a tyre offset, as that is a hack to Scott Holmes, who have massively messed up that first few turns?
Also, let's just ride on board here with Wilson Hall. He's going side by side through the Villeneuve chicane. He's having the outside line of turn 7. Just keep it nice and calm and collected. Leave enough room. Good racing here between the two. And who's going to get the better traction? Who's going to get the better speed on the exit? I think it will be Wilson Hall. But he's going to have the exit for turn. Yeah. Scott Holmes just allows him to get in front. He backs out of it as, he tried to go for a move into turns 2. It didn't work out. He was on the gravel, and then he tried to hold it with Wilson Hall. Again, didn't work out. He backs out to live and fight another day, but that's great for the McLaren drivers as they don't lose much. They gain more than they lose, which I do like.
Scott Holmes gifted the McLarens those positions, and in doing so, now Ryan Jacobs with a 3-lap offset in terms of tires, and we saw what 3 laps can do when it comes to pace amongst in Silverstone. Already, Ryan Jacobs, job done and dusted on Sinan. So maybe we are going to start to get a little bit of overtaking here.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is where things start to take a turn in today's race, as you can just see there, the V-Carb in front going a little bit deep, but getting a better exit out of Villeneuve and Wilson Hall. He's got the tyre offset, but it is, like you said, only relatively 2 laps. It's not 3 with Wilson Hall here. It is 2 as there through turns 9, a little bit wide on the gravel, not too not ideal to say the least.
Not ideal, but keeping close, and you can 100% make that overtake. And every time, Wilson Hall just feels planted when we watch him drive.
Oh,
He's got that nice, smooth, consistent drive style that is not going to affect too many people. Right now, with a 2-lap offset, it can benefit him. Can he take advantage of these fresh tires right now is the question. As that's a twitch. That's a twitch from Sinan. And Wilson Hall just watched that all unfold in front of him. He's under that 4.4 of a second, so 100% there's an opportunity. And to add insult to injury, Sinan, no DRS, and that just is the world's easiest pass if I've seen one. And make matters worse, Scott Holmes says, well, if you're going past, I might as well take advantage as well.
And that is just the smartness of Scott Holmes there. Taking advantage of someone making an overtake. That's what it is. That's how you do racing in trains. And there you go. George Ansell doing the move that he did previously on Lorenz Patton in towards turn 7. It's not worked out quite the same though. They're remaining side by side through turns 9. It's a little bit wide and he's shoved off the track. That is not ideal. I couldn't tell who was at fault there. I would more so say George Ansell, as the overtaking car must do it cleanly, and it's sort of shafted Sinan massively there.
TMO needed, but we have to look ahead. Ryan Jacobs only 3/10 behind Amos right now, but look at the tire offset difference. We know that these offsets have been huge and advantageous, and already 0.3 is going to be deja vu. We're going to be watching an overtake in such a similar matter, except this time Amos will have DRS to help him. How much will that help him? It will help him for a little bit further. It will have to be a lunge. Round the outside goes the McLaren as he tries to get the lunge, but the other Williams of Gianluca nearly blocks the McLaren. Oh, that gets a little shaky indeed. Ryan Jacobs, hats off to him. One more car to retake the lead of this race.
Ryan Jacobs, the man of the hour to say the least. I mean, he's showing why he belongs here. He may even belong in tier 3. He's showing tremendous pace. The amount of raw talent in this tier, it's just a wonderful sight to see. As a wonderful move, he recreated what he did on lap 1 on both of the Williams, actually, because he did it on Gianluca lap 1, and he's done it on Amos on lap 17. Really nice to see, and he's just showing that you can overtake at Imola.
Yeah, you can overtake as long as there is a tire offset.
Absolutely.
It's the rule of thumb behind this, but Ryan Jacobs, a little too far this time round. He won't necessarily go for the overtake, but I tell you what, Gianluca actually thinks there could be an opportunity here, majorly wide to stop it coming through. But how about from afar? How about a lunge down the inside? Ryan Jacobs. All right, okay, I get you want the lead of the race, but I didn't expect it this quickly.
Oh my. Ryan Jacobs feeling ballsy today. Oh, it's a wonderful sight to see. Could he win for the first time in WOR Tier 4 today? I hope he does. With the way he's driving, the way he's overtaking, I could say, I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. He's got me speechless, to say the least. He's flying. He's driving the car. He's one with the car, you could say. It's like, I don't know. The car's his best friend, and they've known each other for years. That's how well he's driving. It's like he's got 10 years of league racing experience here.
Hey, you never know. Could have that 10 years. I don't actually know Ryan Jacobs' age, so this is... he could be that 30-year-old man or woman who is absolutely dominating the server without anyone knowing. But nonetheless, not a pull away, though, that I was expecting with such a tire offset. but it also goes to show that the DRS here is powerful. Meanwhile, that's an unfortunate scene for Wilson Hall as Scott Holmes has got that overtake done and dusted. Wipes up the dust off his hands and says thank you very much.
Well, not much of a fight put up there from Wilson Hall, but...
Oh, there's a Mercedes off!
Where?
Jack Humphreys in the gravel!
That's more than in the gravel. That's facing the barrier. Not ideal from Jack Humphreys there. It happens, though. All he can wish for is a safety car now. Because, to say the least, I believe his race may be near over. Well, actually, Red Miz has 16 seconds worth of penalties, so I take that all back.
Points! That's all there is there. Jack Humphreys, keep on going. And to be honest, Jack Humphreys, as though he is on the fringe of these points here, he's a bit of a legend, you know? He's been around for so long. I think I remember seeing Jack Humphreys consistently within the tier 3, tier 4 region. I think tier 5 during the time I was racing, but he's been around for so long. And commitment, I have to give hats off to him for staying and keeping his passion going within the racing. He may be down near the bottom, but who cares when you enjoy what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, P456. It's a kick Sauber sandwich, something that you don't actually want to be in. Two of the most aggressive drivers, I would say, in this tier, as you can see there. George Ansel looking for the dummy move, trying to put pressure on Wilson Hall, force him into that mistake. I mean, I would be scared if I saw George Ansel do that. Beanzo, we've seen him do it not once, but twice. He's gone for the send into turn 7, and... to say the least, he will do it again.
You want to see me do it again? That's the exact words that George Amsel's screaming at Wilson Hall. But at the same time, Wilson knows what he's looking out for. He knows he's got to be careful. That's a 3-second time penalty, and his race absolutely ruined. George Ansel can sit on the back burner here and not do anything too fancy, because he's now gained himself 5th place.
Yeah.
That is huge and such a disappointment if you are Wilson Hall.
And now, will he be able to find the time? No. I think Ryan Jacobs is in the prime position. I think my theory of him having quite higher wings here is actually correct. Despite Gianluca having the DRS advantage, if Ryan Jacobs conserves through the first few sectors and then burns on that main straight, his wing advantage balances out that DRS, and it makes it where that DRS isn't as effective as we've seen not only this lap but previous laps. And this is why he's so easily able to hold the lead. He then gains on every straight. He may lose time in the corners, but that's when he's charging. That's when he's getting the battery back to burn on all these straights. And it's just so smart from Ryan Jacobs. He's having a race of his life right now.
Luxies. You might want to look at P7 right now. Kevin Wust is almost taking a second out of George Ansel's lap time per lap. He is absolutely flying. Remember, he decided to stay a little bit longer, and with the free air, he's been slowly eating at George Ansel's pace. And once again, we don't talk much about Kevin except when he decides to go long and we see him near the top and for maybe a brief moment have a lap in the lead, but we stick with... Nope. Not gonna happen. Back to Kevin Wust, where he does a good... Oh, I spoke too soon. He's lost a second now.
It's DRS.
Commentator's curse, once again.
Absolutely. But this is probably the fight to watch.
Oh, look at this lunge. Look at the lunge. It's going to happen. Down the inside. Scott Holmes.
It's not worked.
Oh, he makes a tap. You can see him go into ghost mode. I saw it coming from a mile off when he was 0.2 of a second behind. But Wilson Hall saw it and went, hail to the no. You ain't coming on my rear end.
Wilson Hall just, shuts the door. I mean, George Ansel, he's got to be a little bit careful there. That was the best case scenario for that move. I would say it was a little bit late. It could have been a lot worse. Damage race-ending damage, to say the least. I mean, when you're going into that send, you're going right onto the side pods. You know, your front wing is at risk there, and he's really lucky. I think he's got to cool it down going into turn 7. It's fine for now, but he's just got to be a smidge more careful.
No, I think if you're George Ansel, you've got to full on commit. You've got to go for it again. You know that's your spot. That's your opportunity where you could do the best. Oh, that's a glitch in the system. I thought for a moment he overshot the corner. But yeah, no, if I'm George Ansel, I'm going for it. You're quick. You're mightily close through these S's. And while the car's glitching out, is he going to look once again? No. Play it safe for this time round. Build up that charge. Build up the battery. And then go for it one more time.
Absolutely. Also, the amount of points Williams gains in this race is remarkable. A 2-3, it's not the first time we've seen this with the Williams boys. We saw it in Spain. We saw it not long ago in Baku with it being Amos winning and Gianluca in that P2 spot. So, a 2-3, it's really, really good for the Williams. They gain so many points, not only in the drivers, but they gain so many in the constructor standings. The only threat they have is Ryan Jacobs in that P1 spot, as he gains points in the drivers on both the Williams here. Not really constructors, because Williams are in the best possible spot right now.
Absolutely. They are flying and working so flawlessly together. And they've pulled themselves a 5-second gap between themselves and Scott Holmes. So it's all eyes are looking at the front, but all eyes should be looking towards Wilson Hill. Wilson Hill, I feel like that got really, really close. And the numbers were dropping all the way down at the moment. It got to 0.1. So again, George Ansel is not waiting around him. He's got on the rear end, going for a push, and this is a ballsy position. You do not do it through 9 and 10. But he is. He's committing it. He's committing for the fight, and he's looking for any little angle. George Ansel is taking every part of the track and going, yeah, that's an overtaking zone. Why not down here?
He's just saying, you know what? People say you can't overtake around here. I'ma prove them wrong. And prove them wrong, he is doing. Now, if it only he could just stick a few of these overtakes. But, you know, George Ansel, he's not in the highest position. I mean, 6th, it's good, but it's not the best. But he will gain points in the drivers for himself, as he is sat provisionally in that P9 spot. Tied with Kevin and Luis. 1 point behind Nick Aaron.
Wilson Hall down the inside. Gets the job done. Says, thank you very much. I've had too much pressure of George Ansel right behind me. That I am not having that anymore. Do it to your own teammate instead.
And do it to his teammate. Will he do it? No. I think he'll be a little bit smarter with Scott in front, who's on the championship charge, but I missed that completely. I was busy looking over at the standings. I should have been paying attention on this thrilling action with the 2 kicks and the Mercedes and the McLaren, not Mercedes.
Hey. No insulting the McLaren. We may use your engine, but that's about as far as we go. Well, up ahead, still a stalemate, though, as Gianluca continues to put the pressure on. I don't feel this is going to change all too much unless Ryan Jacobs makes a huge mistake. The real, true action does lie between the kick Salbers, and the question mark that lies really is, are they going to squabble over each other, or a gentleman agreement handshake to say not to lunge in?
Oh, absolutely. But you can also see Scott is storming down the main straight. DRS flap is open. Will he be close enough for a move? No, he won't. All that hype for nothing, but it's fine. We've still got 6 laps remaining in this race. Anything can happen. Anything spicy or non-spicy can happen, as you can also see there. George Ansel pushing through the Villeneuve chicane. Scott's gone defensive, looking for the switcheroo, but he can't because Scott's got it stopped. It's insane racing from the teammates. It's good, it's clean, it's nice. This is what WOR is all about. And this is allowing Wilson Hall to just keep it light and breezy.
Remember, Wilson Hall does have that 3-second time penalty, so all this hard work will go for nothing. But if you are the kick Salbers, this is pride. They know that yes, okay, they will finish 4th and 5th, but realistically, it doesn't feel that good. It doesn't feel like the victory they want to see. George Ansell, though, there's definitely more of a sign here to tell Scott Holmes, get out my way. I have the better shot here at overtaking Wilson Hall and pulling away. That's a huge slide. That's going to allow the opening for Scott Holmes. And Scott isn't going to take any second to think twice as he goes side by side onto the start-finish straight and says, thank you very much. That position is mine. And from afar, George Ansell looks for a little bit of a lunge, decides to go against it. His prime position is into turn 7 as he starts to push the McLaren down this short straight, through the kinks, and then he knows one good lunge and he can take a position off. No, not close enough this time round.
All this fighting looking behind P7. It's the man, it's the myth, it's Kevin in the Scuderia. He's quietly crept up with this 3-man pack, and he's in the fight for a chance at another P4. This could be remarkable for Kevin. He went longer. He's actually got a slight tyre offset compared to the others. He's got 13 laps. Scott's got 15, and the other two's got 14. So Kevin here has got the best tyres. He's not had to push much because these guys have been squabbling. It's allowed him back in towards this fight.
Oh, just add another section of spice to this race. Why not? Kevin Wurst, king of the long overcuts, has finally crowned himself a position that can do well, as we just saw Gianluca briefly try and close and make an overtaking opportunity. We have to switch back to Wilson Hill as he slowly closes down that gap amongst his rival of Scott Holmes. Can he do anything that George Ansell has done? Well, he does look to the inside of what is a questionable turn 5-6 overtake. I'm not one to forego that attempt, but I tell you what, a turn 7 overtake could be on the tables here.
Oh, absolutely. And it's getting very close and spicy with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 drivers here. So we've got 2, well, no. Amos has been dropped from the front too, so it is a 1v1 for the win between Ryan Jacobs and Gianluca. Keep your eye out on that gap because things are going to get spicy in these next 4 to 3 laps. As will we see Kevin try and go for a move on George Ansell? I really hope so. Kevin, he's one of my favourite drivers in this tier. Why? Because he goes for these remarkably odd strategies, and sometimes they work out. And work out it is doing right now.
Oh, Kevin Wurst is so close. 3/10 behind George Ansell. And with good traction, that could leave an opportunity for himself to go for the overtake. But he's not going for the full commitment. I think there was a bit of recharging early on. He's still building up the battery from all the attacking that he's been doing. And no, please don't do it, Wilson Hill. Okay, be a good boy. Be patient. Stick it close. And then maybe a lunge opportunity into turn 7. He just hasn't nailed nor figured out how George Ansell does it.
Also, I just want to talk about this squabbling between Sinan and Redmiz. These guys are going at it. Redmiz does have that penalty, so Sinan, no matter if he finishes in front or behind it, he will get that P8 spot. But it's just remarkable. They were going for moves after moves, but back in front, you've got George Ansell, not far behind Wilson Hall. He won't go for a move into this tight chicane. It's really easy to just cut too much, but will we see a move down the main straight into turns 2 and 3? I hope so.
I think everyone's hoping at this point.
Yes.
I think there's 2 ways this goes. One, a beautiful overtake that's a masterclass that we're going to get overly hyped and excited for, or it's going to end up in disaster. But I tell you what, this time round, not going to be anything coming from it. Closest person being Kevin Wust, but he's lost a lot of time on that exit. So calm before the storm. All the drivers starting to recharge their battery, finding that right moment to make that overtake as we're on lap 30 of 32. And it's, do you play that risk? Do you make that lunge into turn 7 and try and send it maybe cause a little bit of damage, maybe send it to the steward's room? Or do you play it safe by dumping your entire battery just for a turn 2-3 overtake?
Oh my, things are getting close. Not only between Scott and Wilson Hall here, but Kevin and George. That gap dropped to almost less than a tenth. So, the clock is now ticking. We have less than 2 laps remaining in this race, and it's now or never for Wilson Hall, George Ansell, and Kevin. Obviously, Wilson Hall does have that penalty, which, no matter what, will drop into a P7. I don't know if he can get it removed, but we've got to have the mindset that he won't get it removed. Now, the gap between George and Wilson is really, really big. So could this be the time for Kevin to look for the move going into the Tamburello chicane? I hope so. DRS flap is now open. Drain the battery down the main straight. Is he flashing? Yes, he is. He's not burning. He's saving. He's conserving for this and next lap. Now, Wilson Hall 2 tenths behind. It's gonna be to the line, I reckon.
I think this will definitely go down to the last lap wonder. And taking account, there's only 2 overtaking opportunities that we've been demonstrated today. Turn 2 and turn 5. So this is the point that all drivers are going to start building some charge in these braking zones. Make sure that come sector 3, you are the closest you could be, and already look at the gaps already. 2.2 a second, 0.4, 0.3. They have really started to close up as they know it's do or die as they get closer to the start-finish line. We quickly look ahead towards Ryan Jacobs and Gianluca, and that battle, nothing's gonna come through unless Gianluca dumps his entire reserve battery, commits full send into that first turn. It doesn't look like it will happen. He's a little too far off as he goes into the first turn. No, has to concede. We quickly drop back to the fighting pack. All of them a lot further away, but Kevin WOR is a lot closer than he before. He needs to dump it all. He needs to go for a send. If it's a commit, it's a commit, and it's not going to commit. Meanwhile, a defensive move from Scott Holmes allows the opening for Wilson Hall to go and eye up a ballsy overtake into the turn 5. Decides against it, has to play safe, get a better launch on the exit of to turn 6. Maybe a dive down the inside? No. Nowhere near. And from here onwards, it's smooth, it's consistent. It will have to stay the same. Because out front, Ryan Jacobs puts on a masterclass of a show. He is held behind Gianluca for the majority of the race. He decided to go long to attempt to go for this offset. He thought he would pull away, but Gianluca's 1 tire deg difference meant that he could stay close. It's another win. It's another victory. McLaren celebrate. Ryan Jacobs win the Emilia-Romagna Italian Grand Prix.
Absolutely sensational. Now, Amos, bring in the Williams. It's a 2-3 for Atlassian. Now, Scott Holmes, worst finishing position. And that is a P4, but it's his worst finishing position. Oh my, Scott. I think a little bit of more practice, but the fact that he went from, I think, P8 to P4, remarkable race from not only him, but his teammate of George Ansell, who went from P9 to P5. These guys kicks out, but they were aggressive. They were driving their hearts out, and it proved. Kevin, it's not a P4 that I was hoping, but it's still a fantastic result. It's his second best result. It's actually... yeah, it's his second best result, but it's tied because he's got another 6th. He got 6th in Spain. He got 6th today. Kevin, I would say, is my driver of the day. Either that or Ryan Jacobs as I'm skipping that because no one wants to see the gritty. But there you go. Ryan Jacobs with not only the race win, but the fastest lap. Most overtakes go to Sinan. And I think there may be a penalty handed out to George Ansell with that incident with Sinan in turns 9. So I don't know if this will be the official finishing order. I think maybe Kevin could be promoted to a P5 if there is a penalty handed out.
There's going to be some question marks for sure that goes forward, especially with the shoving and George Ansell's late turn 7. Is it? And it's one of those we have to watch it all the way through, really, to see and determine if it would be enough to see George Ansell take a 3-second time penalty, which would only demote him down to P6, I believe. No, it would put him down to P7 because Wilson Hall was ahead previously. So, yeah, it's. Oh, no, Wilson Hall's got a 6-second time penalty.
Yeah.
So, no, he would only lose 1 position off that. But what a race, though. That kept us entertained. I thought it was going to be a bit more boring, being the fact it was the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And a lot of the time, we don't have a lot of racing. This is beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, well, just think back to Monaco. We thought that would be a boring race, and guess what? It really wasn't, was it?
No, full of entertaining overtakes, some dive bombs, a little bit of drama, rain that came through. Yeah, it definitely works. And you know what? I still think we should implement a 2-stop strategy on all tracks, in my opinion. But no one really listens to that.
Oh, I'm just trying to get your camera thing to work. But that was a fantastic race. In my honest opinion, I think that's a top 3 race of the season. We had action throughout the whole race. I think that was one of the races where we had barely any like dry moments. You know, in Monaco, it started and ended spicy, but midway through, there was nothing. All it was Scott leading the way by 30 seconds. But today's race was different. Scott was outpaced. I think it was just because he didn't practice much. But Ryan Jacobs, sensational pace. Both of the Williams as well. That first corner on the first lap overtake, it was remarkable. It was perfect, to say the least, from Ryan Jacobs. And not only did he did it once, he had to do it twice, and on Jan-Luca's teammate. So I think I know who should receive the driver of the day. Personally, I know we don't really do it, but I would give it to Ryan Jacobs, just how well he drove. Him or Kevin. Those are my 2 people who I think should receive a driver of the day if we did that.
Well, it's a shame that we don't. Anyways, it has been such a spectacular race. It means we have to say goodbye to the Emilia Romagna. That's a tongue twister if you say it too much. Imola. As we move on next, where are we going? That is the question. Calendar. It is Japan.
Oh,
Another track that's going to be quite difficult to overtake on.
I beg to differ. We've seen it in different tiers. I mean, we saw it in WR Tier 1. There was a quite hefty amount of overtakes. So, I think with the drivers we've got, with the aggression and their passion, I think we may be surprised yet again, Hyper. But yeah, you never know. It's either a hit or a miss.
We'll find out. We'll find out for sure. But definitely stay tuned for next week, as it will be the Japanese Grand Prix. It's been amazing. It's been fun. It's been entertaining. Thank you all for watching, and have a lovely night.
Goodbye.